All right. So welcome back to Persistent Progress Goes Career Exploring. And today's guest I have is Gasper Stair, a good friend of mine. We'll get into more for what he does in his profession. But right now, I just want to speak on what Persistent Progress is about and what it does. It's about spreading positive environment for the community to interact and be involved in, and kind of just do a full cycle for selfless acts and kind of help with people motivating, influencing them. And we're striving to become better any way possible with the career exploring that we got going on right now. That's basically where we're going out, and we're finding people from different careers, professional backgrounds, and we're kind of getting to know more about them and what they do, how they got there, what kind of led them to going down this path. Because basically with this interview, we're trying to help create this this missing link for people who don't know where to go or kind of looking for a new direction to take. And basically for these people that are kind of lost and looking for a way with no GPS. So basically Persistent Progress Goes Career Exploring. We're the GPS for these people to kind of connect the dots, to get them from point A to B in a kind of a less suffering way. Sometimes it gets hectic and just doing research and not enough time in the day, and you don't know where to search or where to find these answers. So hopefully we can provide that with these videos and interviews that we're doing with these different people, and kind of just let them know more information about what they may be interested in. This is for all types of group of supporters, from high school kids that are looking for some way to go and some type of direction, to people that are even middle 20s, 30s, 40s, however old they might want to be chasing a career, dream job or anything, but don't know where to start or, where to begin, and kind of like, what path to take. So hopefully this can be some type of helpful resource for people, and just even a way to network. It's all, any type of thing can happen for with Persistent Progress and what we can provide for others. That's basically the purpose of this. So, with further ado, I want to introduce Gasper and kind of let him just speak on himself, who he is, and give a little background about himself, tell about your profession, just your company, just, give a whole little details for us real quick.
Absolutely, Dre. So first off, thanks for having me and talking about going for full circle. I mean, you and I, we were teammates down in Atlanta, Georgia, way back when, 2012 now, almost a decade. Yeah. And look at us, now we're meeting up again, keeping in touch. I love to see it. I love what you're doing. Congratulations. Also a firefighter, impressive. So yeah, a little bit about me. This is kind of just a generic overview that I like to tell people is I was born in Europe, small country called Slovenia, right next to Venice, Italy. And I immigrated to Canada, Windsor, Ontario to be exact, right across from Detroit, Michigan. Grew up going to Lions, Tigers, Red Wings games, all that kind of stuff. Being a kid there in Windsor, we love our sports. We're a blue-collar city. We work hard. And, seeing the GM building and going to those games in Detroit kind of inspired me to want to play football in America. I mean, that's the best place to play football. So I went down, after I graduated high school, went down to Atlanta Sports Academy. That's where you and I met. You were my quarterback, always wearing the weighted vest everywhere you go, whether it was on the football field or in the shower. I kid you not, this guy wore it in the bathroom too. And we kind of hit it up. They were from Indianapolis, you and Jordan Morris. And it's kind of funny how it works out, because you ended up playing football in Canada and I stayed in the United States. I ended up going to Saginaw Valley State University in Michigan and playing the GLIAC Conference, Division II. I graduated the BBA. I actually graduated in 3 years instead of 4. Also did a 1-year stint in my hometown university at the University of Windsor. Wasn't a great experience there, but it was a really great motivating factor. Whenever you take a step back, it kind of motivates you to push forward. From there, I was kind of ignited with an interest of law from a really well-known lawyer there who kind of inspired me. And so from there, I decided to shoot my shot, write the LSAT. I already had a really good GPA. I think it was like a 3.93. And so I wrote my LSAT. Next thing you know, I was getting offers and flown around for law schools. I ended up deciding to go to Indianapolis, Indiana University School of Law, go Hoosiers. And a lot of people ask me why Indiana, and, I say, why not? It's a very, very underrated city. I used to be guilty of, kind of shooing Indianapolis, not really knowing much about it. But it has, it's a blue collar city, but it still has the big city vibes to it as well. I mean, you have, Rolls-Royce headquarters, Cummins headquarters, Eli Lilly, big pharmaceutical company, Salesforce Tower. You have all these big multinational law firms. and I've loved it. I also, after I graduated from law school, I went to Chicago, so I was in Chicago for about a year and a half, and then recently I got offered to work for Banks and Bauer here in Indianapolis, so I came back, and so now I'm here.
Okay, nice. And so your position or your career for what you do, you are an attorney?
Yeah, so I am now a criminal defense attorney, but I still do personal injury law. So if anybody is injured, if you know someone that's in a car accident, slip and falls, or is just severely injured, I do represent those types of clients. But otherwise, if you've been arrested, I handle that. I also do gun permits, gun rights. If someone has been denied by the ISP or the federal government from having a gun permit or getting their gun rights, I help with that as well. And I also do traffic tickets, all that kind of fun stuff. I never say no to those things. And but yeah, before I did more medical malpractice and civil litigation defense when I was working for the firm out of Chicago. But now I kind of like my job more because it's more based on being in the courtroom. It's more what I signed up for. Before I was in the court a lot, I was mostly in the office doing litigation, which is just a lot of typing and drafting. Now I'm in court all the time. I'm running around dealing with people, whether it's prosecutors, judges, or it's clients and colleagues. So it's never, ever a dull moment. In fact, since we started, I think my phone buzzed about 4 or 5 times. But I do enjoy it. And for anybody listening, yes, if you're ever arrested or injured, please let me know.
Got you. Okay, so you had touched on that someone influenced you to kind of go after the law background. Is there ever in your time that anyone else has influenced you, like if parents have said, or people like, man, you'll make a good lawyer, or is just that guy and he was a lawyer or something, kind of like, you know?
Well, Jay, I think you probably said this to me once upon a time ago. I love to argue, and I've always been aggressive in my personal life as well as on the football field. I've always been a headhunter, and I've never been shy. That's something people don't usually call me, and I'm very blunt. But at the same time, I do have compassion and sympathy for people. It's kind of tough. I had that dream. I want to be in the NFL, or I want to play pro sports like most, teenagers or whatever else, that really crazy dream. And it's good to have, because ultimately football was a huge factor in what led me here, as well as my football coaches back home, Coach McIntyre, Rob McIntyre, and the Holy Names football program there, and Coach Rocky Racy, as well as the Essex Ravens program, and Coach Mills and Molinaric. It kind of teaches you, as you know, Dre, and for those listening, I do, whether you want to be on a dance team or on sport, join something where you're part of a group or team, because you learn how to work with others and you learn how to take direction and all that kind of stuff from somebody above you, whether it's a coach or instructor, teacher, etc. But to touch back on your point, it's, when it came to the law, I shadowed and got to work with an attorney back in Windsor, very well known, and he kind of put me under his wing. He showed me the things that involves with being a lawyer, a litigator in a courtroom. And I'm like, man, wow, this is something I want to do. And it kind of fits my personality. And then from there, how that ties in with football. Well, football as a Canadian, it allowed me to get that scholarship. It bridged the gap for me to cross the river and enter the United States. And I'm like, and from there, I used my opportunity to go to school to then do well in school and then make the connections with my professors and through football as well, my coaches, colleagues, teammates. I mean, you and I are talking right now because of football. We're having this discussion, right? You're a firefighter in Indianapolis, and I ended up being an attorney. Like, it's funny how life works and the connections you make. You really never, ever know. So ultimately, I don't want to put it all on one thing or one person. And sure, maybe those things do happen for some people. They just have this epiphany where they're inspired and want to do it. For me, it was just it felt like it was a calling, and it just took a while for me to recognize it. And thankfully, for the attorney back in Windsor who inspired me, he helped. And then that led to, to other things in football and all this. These all kind of pointed in this direction for me. So I can't really just put on one thing. But at the same time, you got to be open-minded enough, and you got to go out there and try things and be willing to do. I mean, when I was an undergrad, I didn't know for sure if I wanted to go to law school. It was just something in my mind, but I started tailoring and focusing more and more on it. I tried other things as well. I'm like, I don't really like this. I don't really like that. And it just kind of all fit in together. I didn't force it. It never fell on my lap. I thought about it, then I turned those thoughts into actions, and then I really started to become determined, progressive, and really work towards that goal. And now I'm happy. I'm really happy that I made it here, and it did not come easily. I'll tell you that. There were a lot of moments where I thought it wouldn't work out, but yeah.
Right. Okay. So what's your schedule like on a normal day? And like, is it basically the same all week, or does it vary? Like,
No. And I think I touched on that earlier. It is never a dull moment. I am constantly working. I never not work, whether it's answering phone calls, emails, text messages, meeting clients, meeting judges, going to courtroom. I mean, every day is different, completely different, and you never know. I mean, this is something that people kind of shock when I say this. I mean, most of my job is really customer service. It really is. Imagine as an individual, you hire someone, whether you hire your contractor to build their house, you hire your lawyer to represent you in court for whatever, whether you're injured, you hired somebody. Now you want to know if how they're doing, and you want feedback from them. So a lot of times my job is clients ask me what's going on with their case, what's next. And sometimes they're just really stressed. I mean, people, it's not fun. You know, a lot of people don't really call me with good news. They're calling me with bad news. I mean, let's be honest here. These are people that are facing serious consequences, whether it's jail time or whether it's not be able to, you know, pay off their hospital bill because they've been injured, so that they don't know how they're going to afford their bill, and it's just stress. So people come at me with their problems. I then quote them a price to handle their problems. I take on their problems. So not only taking that stress and that responsibility, now they're kind of nervous because they're putting all their problems into one individual. So, you know, that customer service comes in where when they call me, they text me, things are going on. I need to give them that comfort and confidence and reassurance that I am doing my job. I'm staying on top of what I need to do, and that I am taking care of their interests.
Nice. Okay. So, I know that you play football. We got scholarships to go play, you know, and stuff like that. So, and I'm not sure, did you do more than 4 years of college?
No, so I only did 3 years of undergrad. I expedited, and then law school, I was done in pretty much 2.5 years. And to touch a little bit on that point, once I figured out what I want to do, I went all in. A lot of people, they just wait. I mean, you're an undergrad, right? You went to university as well. I mean, you have these long summers, and you see that these universities offer really condensed courses. And they ended up being way easier than normal classes because the professors don't want to be there as much as we didn't want to be there. Yeah. So I say that to say this. If you have a goal, just focus on it. Don't take breaks. Don't wait until, just do it. Focus all in, because it's so much better when you get done quicker, because it saves you time, it saves you money, and it saves you stress in the long run. Because a lot of my teammates in classes, they still had another full year of undergrad or another semester of law school, or I had to write the bar exam ahead of me. I got that done quickly because once I figured it out, I went all in, and I don't regret it at all.
So are you aware, because we play sports that kind of help pay for our schooling, are you aware of any of the people that did law school and stuff, if there were scholarships out there for them to help pay for that?
Let me tell you, I tell people this all the time, especially, you know, kids in college right now or in high school thinking about going to school. Let me tell you, there is so much money out there for grabs. They don't realize. All you have to do is open your eyes, do a little Google is your best friend, and so is your student affairs office at your school, whether it's high school, college, graduate school, doesn't matter. I'm a Canadian. I did not come from money whatsoever. As I mentioned, I'm a 2-time immigrant. We started in the small ghetto ends in my city, starting up. I mean, like, I'm being completely honest. We did not have a lot growing up. My mom she's a professor now, but she started going to school, getting her high school equivalency and going to college at the same time I was going through school, you know, JK through grade 8 and so on and so forth. Yeah. And I say that to say this, I did not have money to go to school in the United States, and the US dollar is a lot stronger than the Canadian dollar. So even more so, it's even more expensive, and the international fees, all those sort of things. So not only did I have football scholarship, I also had academic scholarship. And the reason I got that is I took school seriously in high school. But not only that, I had other scholarships. There were like $500, you know, off scholarships for this and that. All I had to do was write a essay or reach out to somebody, tell my story, just be active, volunteer over here. I mean, I'm telling you, there are literally people out there, I kid you not, that are just trying to give away money. There's donors and sponsors and alumni and people that are successful, or people that used to struggle, and there is so much money out there, and a lot of it just nobody gets it. I've gotten awards and scholarship and money just because I was the only one, for instance, or there wasn't a lot of competition.
Yeah.
There is money. And believe it or not, I was I think 2017 or 2018 Indianapolis Bar Association Diversity Award winner. It's kind of funny because even though I'm white with blue eyes, I mean, they took a chance. But imagine most people would be like, oh, I don't have a chance. But I'm like, you know what? I was born in Europe. I grew up in Canada, all that kind of stuff. I'll shoot my shot. And I did shoot my shot. I had to write a long essay and I ended up getting thousands of dollars out of it. So, I mean, you can't be scared. You gotta, like I said, when you're all in, all in. There is money out there. If you're a listener and you want to go to school, I promise you there is some kind of money out there. On top of the fact that there's government subsidies, there's also, I know, skilled trades and companies that even provide tuition reimbursement. There are so many ways. I don't want to hear an excuse when someone says I can't afford school. I call BS because I couldn't afford school. Yeah, I made it happen. And I'm not no genius by any means. All I did was work hard and I figured it out. And it was through just motivation and effort. Other people, sure, there's always a lot of anomalies and exceptions. People are that just super, super smart. They get things right away. Okay, of course, there are those types of people. Me, I am not. I basically took the blue collar mentality and the hunger and I focused in the academic world and it worked.
I got you. That's, hey, I got a lot of respect for you and people like that. And that's what motivates me as well. So with you taking the bar, can you kind of explain like what that is and, what it's like taking it just for people who may not know?
Yeah, it's not fun. I'll tell you that. So the bar exam, except for this past year, because this past round it was online and they shaved about half of it, I believe. But normally the bar exam is okay. Every state has their own bar exam, and in order to practice in that state, you have to take their bar exam. There's certain exceptions like the UBE, which is the Universal Bar Exam. I didn't take that. I took the Indiana State Bar Exam, and it's a 2-day exam. It's about like 7 or 8 hours each day. It is no joke. It's very, very hard, and there is no way getting around it. I studied 3 months straight every day for a minimum of 6 hours. Now there's courses online that help you. There's all these products you can get, and I took an online bar course that helped. But it's no joke. All it takes is time and effort. Now, I did have the luxury of having a mother who supported me. I got to be locked up in her basement back home in Windsor, and she fed me. Didn't have to worry about, bills, rent, stress, nothing. I was luxurious in that fact. There are a lot of classmates of mine that didn't have that luxury. So in terms of having that peace and quiet, or having to take care of kids or bills and still having to work. So for those people, I do feel for them, but I know them that they still passed. They made it work. So if there's a will, there's a way. But the bar exam, no joke. The good news is, and this is something I'm reaching out. I'm only 2 years into practice. I'm gonna hit my third year soon. I think in about 6 months or so. I forget exactly. Either way, once you hit your 3 mark, 3 years is usually the magic number. Some states might make it 5 years. But either way, there's something called reciprocity. So after 3 or 5 years, depending what state you want to transfer into, you can literally just waive in. That means you don't have to take their bar exam. So for instance, if I want to practice in Illinois, which is something I've been thinking about, in Michigan as well, all I have to do is to be a practicing licensed attorney for 3 years and they will waive me in. You have to pay some sort of like bar fee or whatever. But other than that, I don't have to take an exam. Otherwise, if I want to do it now, I'd have to take an exam, but there's no point. I'd rather just wait until I hit my 3-year mark and then I'm good to go. I can waive in.
Okay, cool. I got a 2-part question for you here. So what's the financial side look like? Do you feel it's worth what you do? And does the love and passion that you have for it does love and passion kind of, how do I say this, take over, and that's the reason for why you're doing it, kind of just makes up for you not getting the pay that you think you deserve, or vice versa?
Right. So I'll say this. The biggest misconception out there is that lawyers are rich. All right. That is not true. I know a lot more lawyers making less money than my friends that didn't go to school or did trades or just did undergrad, that I do the opposite. Now, to say that I am doing very well, I do have a very good salary and benefits, all that kind of good stuff. Okay. However, a lot of lawyers, they do it for the passion. I mean, we have public defenders out there. We have prosecutors. They don't, to kind of give numbers, I think the average amount is $40,000 to $50,000. That might deter some people, but then again, it's a passion. There's also government subsidies that help and grant programs and all those kind of things. I don't know exactly. I'm not in the public sector, but I think typically it's kind of funny because in Canada, working for the government is like the holy grail. It's good money, good benefits, all that. In the United States, not so much. So for those of you out there, I don't want that to deter you if you want to be a lawyer. I'm just saying public sector typically does not pay well, benefits aren't good. But at the same time, the big crucial thing is the experience. The partners I work for, Adam Brower, Brad Banks, they used to be prosecutors for like 10 plus years. They got really good experience. And now they made their own law firm and they're doing really, really well. And I know so many other attorneys that have done that, worked in the public sector and transferred into private. Why? Because first off, they need people. They're constantly hiring. So if you're a law student or a student of any kind, 9 times out of 10, there's going to be a government position open for you. Why? Because they're always open. It's a constant turntable. People leave typically for salary reasons. But if you have nothing going on for yourself, you have a means to make a living, take care of your bills yourself, and get numerous extensive real world experience and on the job experience. If you want to be a prosecutor or a defense attorney like I am, going over there on the government side, whether public defender or prosecutor, you're going to be in court all the time. You're going to have trials. You're going to be doing the real stuff. No strings attached, no leash, nothing. You're going to get thrown in and sink or swim. Might be intimidating for some, but you'll get that experience. And then next thing you know, you can expand. I know so many people that expanded. I know an attorney used to be a prosecutor doing major felonies and sex crimes. She is now, I believe, a partner now at a big corporate law firm downtown. Myself, I did the pro bono criminal defense work in law school, but then I ended up doing, when I graduated, I went private in downtown Chicago, and now I'm here doing private work. So I don't want that to deter people, right? At the same time, there's a lot of lawyers I know that are doing really, really, really well. Getting like very well, but that's competitive, right? You have to have good grades and make the right connections. So it's like anything, it's what you make of it ultimately. But I will say this, a law degree, in my opinion, is the most versatile degree out there. As you know, a lot of people, Vice President Mike Pence, he's from my law school, he's an alumni. A lot of politicians have law degrees. A lot of executives and companies have law degrees. A lot of accountants have law degrees. Lawyers, of course, have law degrees. There are just so many avenues that you can do with a law degree. You don't have to necessarily be a practicing attorney in a courtroom, but there is power to being a lawyer. There's certain things that lawyers can just do that other people can't. Our signature is just more powerful, and it's a good thing to have. So I tell people, don't just think that going to law school is just being in a courtroom. That is the farthest thing from the truth. I think actually I know more people from law school that aren't practicing attorneys than are practicing attorneys. So that's something to consider.
Okay. So with our generation, we tend to try to be as versatile as possible, or we always bouncing on to the next thing. So what motivates you to get up and go in the morning and stay with your job from quitting or trying something new?
Because it is versatile. It is always new. Whether I'm handling a traffic ticket or I'm doing a battery trial, or I'm handling drug charges, or I'm going to see prosecutors to negotiate some kind of plea agreement, or I'm handling a civil case and I'm doing investigations and I'm hiring experts. My job is very versatile. Or I'm doing sales. I'm trying to pitch people to hire me. They're calling me and I got to convince them that I'm a good attorney and they should hire me, whatever the case is. So for me, that whole versatility in terms of staying in tune and motivated, that's not a problem for me because I do have a career that fits my personality, and that it's never boring. It's always something new.
That's cool. So speaking on kind of like for far as benefits, what with the career that you have kind of you feel plays in your favor, just even for some type of knowledge and stuff that you gain that you feel that you would not have been aware of if you wouldn't have even chose to go down the route of being a lawyer? Is there anything that you can take off my mind? I know this because I'm a lawyer. It's like I'm a firefighter and I know different things about the health side of stuff like that.
Well, naturally, there's so many things I learned about the justice system being an attorney. It's kind of funny with the world we're living in, court of public opinion, so many people online on Facebook. I've learned to tune it out. People think they know when they don't. They don't. And I get the frustrations of certain things. Like, for instance, we see police officers getting off the hook with things, right? And I get that. I get the human aspect. But at the end of the day, people don't understand a headline is a headline. There is so much that goes on behind the scenes. There are so many facts. At the end of the day, we live in a standard where in order to throw someone in jail, they have to be guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. That is a huge threshold you have to meet. So whether you have, somebody could be a witness saying one thing in the news, oh, I saw him do this, or yeah, they did that. Well, once you put them in a courtroom or in a room where they're getting deposed and an attorney is questioning them, attacking their credibility, next thing you know, the story starts changing. Next thing you know, it's easy to go out and speak freely and be in a microphone or on Facebook or Twitter typing. It's another when you have to sit in front of me and I look you in the eye and I'm asking you questions. Your story better stick straight or it's going to fall apart.
All right.
Right.
That's crazy, man. So
Right.
What's the most challenging thing that you find with your profession?
The most challenging thing,
I know it's probably many, but if you
there's a lot. Just keeping up with everything. So time management / priority. I mean, all my clients are a priority to me, but some have fast approaching deadlines than others. And at the same time, it's just the biggest struggle I have is just staying afloat with all the pressure, deadlines, and demands that I have. Everybody wants my attention when it comes from clients. And then there's deadlines and courts and other things I have to handle. So just like a lot of times I wake up in the middle of the night thinking I forgot something or thinking I'm not prepared for, like, it is scary. Like I said, this is a career. This I can't run away from it. Even when I'm on vacation, I was in Vancouver a couple of weeks ago. That still chased me down. I don't have much peace of mind, so to speak. But at the same time, it drives me. And when I get those, those wins and I see, a mom from Africa who's in the United States on asylum status to see she gets a second chance and that she won't get convicted and that the case is dismissed. It's awesome. Speaking of which, look at that. It's a client call right now. Luckily, I have a colleague who picked it up before me. So, yeah, that's the challenging aspect of it, man. And competition.
Okay. I hear you. So, is there like a work to home life balance? Or is anything like that?
So that's a big reason why I left my Chicago firm. For those that don't know, when I was in law school, and most people and law students out there or anybody else, everyone looks at the big law firms like, wow, that's where I want to work. Don't get me wrong. They do make a lot of money, especially initially. Short term, it's a lot of money. It's a big start. We're talking about 6-figure salaries off the jump between 130 and 160,000. That's a lot for somebody fresh out of school. The problem, and that's what I learned, is working at those big firms is something called the billable hour. You have hourly expectations. Typically, firms have between 1,800 to 2,100 hours a year billable requirement. That ends up being between 40 to 50 hours a week. Now you're saying, oh, I work 40 to 50 hours a week. That's not a problem. It's different when you got a bill. That's an actual bill. As attorneys in the private sector doing billable work, you're selling essentially your time. I think it's extremely unethical. I think it's archaic and outdated. That's another discussion. There's articles on it. But there's a really good article by Yale. They talk about the billable hour requirement, but people don't realize we spend so much time talking to colleagues, doing this, doing that. And not everything I did when I was working at the firm is billable, meaning not everything I did, I could bill to the client. Certain emails or certain work, certain legal research, certain questions, certain discovery, all these things that I used to do, I couldn't bill for it. Next thing you know, I sit down, I'm like, crap, 3 hours just went by and I didn't bill anything. And so next thing you know, so really those 50 whatever billable hours a week ends up really being 60, 70, 80 hours a week that you're actually spending in your office. It was consuming. It was just too much for me. It's not worth the sacrifice. There are certain people, it's meant for them. I get it. I'm more of a social person. I'm more of a person that needs to have different things, constant, stimulation from different sorts of the job. That's why now at the firm that I am at and the type of work I'm doing, I love it. I get to work from home on Fridays. As much as I was saying there's a lot going on, I make my own schedule, right? I can determine when to meet certain people. The court makes their schedule, but I can file continuances to change that date, this date. A lot of things are remote and online now, even court included. So I love it. I have way better work-life balance. I just bought myself a new house. I'm able to go to Vancouver. I'm able to go on vacation. I'm able to fly out. Nobody's keeping tabs on where I'm at necessarily. I have the freedom so long as I'm doing my work, so long as I'm not screwing up, and so long as I'm, taking care of my clients. So don't let it scare you. People, there are a lot of legal jobs and professions out there. In-house counsel is another one, being an in-house attorney for a company. They have good work-life balance. There's a lot of jobs out there where it is good. You have a good life, you have a good salary, and you enjoy what you do. But the big law firm, that's a caveat. You want to make that big money, it comes at a price.
Gotcha. So on average, how many of your cases go to trial, like instead of settling out of court?
Not a lot, even in civil. So here's the thing. When it comes to criminal, it's twofold, right? Okay. I love going to trial. I'm not shy to go to trial. I'm aggressive. I don't mind that. Yeah. The problem is there's two things that have to happen, right? First, you got to pay me to go to trial. I am not cheap. As a criminal defense attorney, I charge between $2,500 to $5,000 a day for trial. My colleagues charge even more. So first, the client has to afford that on the criminal side. Civil side's different. Civil, the clients don't pay. We just take a contingency. So we just take a cut of what we get as a reward. That's on a plaintiff, as a plaintiff. Now, the other caveat is it worth going to trial? A lot of people, this is a problem that I have with a lot of people, they think hiring an attorney and paying me an X amount of dollars means it's get out of jail free card. No, I still have to work with the facts. The facts I can't change. I can try attack them and try to persuade it in a different light, or try to convince and put pressure on the prosecutor who's typically overworked and underpaid. There's a lot of things I can do to help. At the end of the day, the facts are the facts. So if you're caught red-handed on video, and people lay off social media, don't be flashing your guns and your money and your drugs. Like the amount of times social media posts has end up on my desk in discovery in a file. It's like, are you kidding me? So my point is, I can only work with the facts. So I'll tell people, hey, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not confident going to trial. This is a clear-cut slam dunk case. A lot of times police officers have body cam now, dash cam. For instance, the most common one is the DUI. People are like, can't you get this dismissed? Well, let me talk to you about it. All right. Well, you were speeding or you were swerving in all lanes. That gave the police officer probable grounds to pull you over. They flash your lights, pull you over. You are behind the vehicle. Your hands are on the steering wheel. You're in the driver's seat. That's you. You're driving a car. You just got pulled over. You're kind of slurring your speech. The officer smells alcohol in your breath. He tells you to get it out. He gives you a certified breathalyzer. You blow over the legal limit, 0.08. Now he has grounds to take you to the hospital to get your blood vial and to confirm, or get a certified breath test in the jail. Either way, people try to dispute it. Now there is wiggle room. Of course, the police officer has to read your rights. He has to have a legal reason to pull you over. The breathalyzer has to be updated, has to be calibrated and certified accordingly. Of course, those are those things that I check to make sure, but most often they check out. So people are trying to argue with me. I'm like, hey, listen, we have evidence of you behind the car and you were drunk. There's only so much wiggle room I can do. You know, I mean, what else do you want me to do? Or somebody says, I didn't steal that TV. Well, there's a picture of you with the TV. I mean, what? Just because you pay me X amount of dollars, that doesn't mean I could just make things disappear. Now, don't get me wrong. It still helps having me, because I make sure that the state does their job properly, that they have the evidence to convict you or to offer this plea agreement. At the same time, I can do other things to help negotiate. There's certain things I can leverage: your background, your history, what you've been through. Do you have a drug addiction? Were you just divorced? Do you have mental issues? There's so many things I can do to help bring compassion and sympathy, because at the end of the day, the state also has to work in the best interest of society. So they're not supposed to just throw people in jail just because. Although that's not obviously the case as the things we see on the news. But to answer your question, most cases do not go to trial, and it's because of those two things: money and evidence.
I got you. So on your cases that do make it to trial, do you have like a percentage that you know of that you win?
I'm currently undefeated, so I'm proud to say that. I am 6 or 7-0.
Hey, look at you.
Yeah, but that's rare. I'm sure my losses are going to come. My colleagues tell me all the time it's coming, and I'm sure it will. And it's not necessarily because of me or because of my colleagues' work. Sometimes people, they have the money Even though I tell them, or somebody will tell them, I don't think we should go to trial, they're like, screw it, they want to roll the dice. At the end of the day, I got to do what the client wants. So I'm sure my time is coming. Hopefully not soon. But trial, typically, I only want to go to trial because I'm confident in it. I think I can create reasonable doubt in front of a jury, and because my client can afford it.
Okay, cool. For someone that may be interested in your current field, where do you advise that they start and like a path to take? Like, as far as for picking an undergrad or anything of that nature, like what?
Honestly, undergrad, I hate to say this, undergrad does not prepare you for law school, and guess what? Law school does not prepare you to be a lawyer. Simple as that. So I'll say this. I would tell people to start the same way you want to progress and where I'm at right now. You want to get into a field, so you want to find a lawyer, find it if you have a family connection or whatever. If anybody listening, you can feel free to reach out to me. You go to banksofbroward.com. I have an online profile. There's a whole thing about me there as well. Either way, you want to meet people. It doesn't matter what the career is, whether you want to be a lawyer, doctor, etc. Reach out to them. Send emails. I call them cold emails. Introduce yourself. Go to those charity events where you know those type of people are going to hang out. I used to go to the bars where I knew where lawyers were going to hang out. Meet them. Network. That's how you know. And then you find out they'll give you advice, and then that'll connect to something else. I know that seems so vague, and people's like, oh, that's not really advice. That's what. No, I'm telling you, meet people, and you're going to get a little bit from somebody. People listen to this video, you're going to get something from me. Don't get everything from me. Diversify yourself in terms of opinions from the people in the profession that you want to go in. And they're all going to give you advice, and you're going to get something from each of them. And then you're going to be able to put that together to make a real tangible plan to move forward. And then you're going to find somebody you really, really connect with who can be a mentor for you. They'll take you under their wing, and then they'll really help give you really concrete, specific advice.
I got you. So with this route and journey that you're advising for the viewers watching, is there learning lessons that you have with that on the route that you've taken, or do you think for the route that you took to get to where you are, that you advise somebody to do this same kind of step and process because this is what worked for you? It happened directly for how you wanted because it was a planned blueprint, or he's like you hit some speed bumps that you would tell somebody to watch out and look out for so they don't have to go through the same thing?
There's always speed bumps, and you can't predict them. That's why there's speed bumps. If you could, you would swerve around them, avoid them. However, what I do say is this, like I said earlier, dive in. Once you have something, be fully committed to it. Don't sway away or veer off. Be committed to that. If you want to go to school, figure out what schools, and don't put all your eggs in one basket either. So if you want to go to a specific school, or if you want to go to a specific job, apply to multiple different jobs in that field or multiple different companies, apply to multiple different schools. And then once you're in that job or school, you get in and they make a plan. How do I get out or progress? So in a job, how can I go to the next best position? How do I get a promotion? Find out and then do what it takes to get there. And then in school, find out how you can get the most out of it and how you can graduate as effectively and efficiently as possible. Summer schools are options. Meeting with your professors are an option. Going to those stupid networking events and getting that free bagel in the morning where there's 5 other professors. Go do it. It sounds lame. It sounds boring. I did it. I went to them and it worked out. I got recommendation letters out of it. At the end of the day, this is the most crucial thing I can tell anybody whatsoever in this video. If you can take anything from me, it's this. Relationships and people matter most. We're all human beings. Dre, why did you ask me to be in this video? Because you knew me. You already had a relation about me. You already know, oh, I know Gasper. You could have asked any other lawyer, right? Theoretically, you could have emailed somebody else. Maybe you wouldn't be as confident they would respond, but you knew me. Same thing with jobs in the real world. No matter what you do, people, we are attracted to things we already know. When I go out to the bar, I'm not going to ask a stranger on the street, hey, want to go to the bar with me? No, I'm going to text my friends. Why? Because I already know them. I already am comfortable with them. The ice is already broken. There's a layer of ice that we all as humans have with one another. If I don't know you, there's a brick wall where we like, oh, how are you? We put on our fake face, right? Or be polite, or we just walk past them. We don't acknowledge those people, right? We all have a natural, it's natural human instinct to have a barrier with people. So when that barrier is closed, broken through, shattered, then we're more comfortable, right? So if you meet somebody, you meet that professor a few times, or you meet that colleague or that executive, they already know you. So then how does that, come into fruition? It comes into fruition that when, okay, that company, the opening suddenly comes up. that person's like, actually, I know this person. I know they might be interested in this. Let me reach out to them and ask. This is a fact. A lot of positions out there are filled before they're ever posted. Jobs, jobs, and then when it comes to school, I mean, those are still people, committees making decisions. So if you already are networking with people in that university, they might put in a good word for you. Or if you already got into school you want to go to, or you got into any school whatsoever, then when it comes time to have a recommendation letter, you might not need it right now, but you got to build towards that. So you start meeting with those professors, the ones that have a great reputation, great credentials, all that kind of thing. You do that in the hopes that one day when you do need something from them, they will be there for you. Why? Because you built a relationship. So the number one thing, the most important thing is relationships. We are social beings. That's who we are innately. Use that and it will be the greatest benefit to you, hands down.
That's dope right there. That's big information. So moving on to the next question. Where you are right now, would you do this all over again to end up in the same position? Or if you could do it all over again, would you go someplace different?
I say, what people typically say when they get asked this question is like, oh, I have no regrets. I wouldn't change anything. Sure, it's easy for me to say that because things worked out. Yeah. But inevitably, we've all made mistakes and errors in our life. But yeah, if I went back, I wouldn't want to make that mistake because nobody likes to make mistakes, right? So I can't really say. It's kind of a funny question. I could give you the cookie credit. Oh, I have no regrets. No, of course, if I went back, I would have made some changes in certain things, whether it's in school or personally, my personal or social life. But you can't look at the past. I mean, that's a lot of people. Oh, but I couldn't get into this school, or I had a teen pregnancy, or I lost my job, or I just never had the opportunity, or I never had time. I was too busy, or I came from a really poor neighborhood, or my parents never put. No excuses. If you keep looking at the past, you will never be able to push forward. And I'm not saying that to refute. Everyone comes with a lot of struggles in certain aspects. Not everyone's created equal or has the equal. I get that, and I'm not trying to refute that. But my point is, if you keep looking behind you, how can you look in front of you?
Yeah.
You only have one direction of vision. In my opinion, I'd rather look forward. So of course, yes, I have regrets in my life. I have regrets in my past, but it worked out one way or another. If I could go back in time, would I change them? Yes, because it's kind of a normal thing to do. But if I could see how that would change my future, maybe I wouldn't, maybe I would. I mean, I don't know. It's all a butterfly effect, right? So don't dwell on the past. Realize that every single day we all have the same amount of time and minutes and hours as anybody else. I have the same amount of time as Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates as the rest of us. We all have the same time in a day. It's how you use it. And if you have handicaps, if you have struggles, if you have disabilities, if you have things holding you back, figure out to cope with it. You have to. Otherwise, you're going to dwell and nothing will ever happen for you. And you're just going to be sitting in your own cloud of misery. And that's not fun either.
Okay. Gotcha. Gasper, how are you? 27, 28?
I'm 27. I am turning 28 next week, though. So I got 8 days left.
Happy early birthday. So with
Thank
that,
you.
Us being so young, that and me just knowing your character personally, I know this isn't a final destination for you because, as you said, that you plan on doing your 3 years and looking into Illinois as well as Michigan. So far as with that, can you kind of explain if you got an idea for what further goals that you have as far as with your career down the line? Any set things that you want to accomplish or make it to?
Right. Well, to clarify, me getting licensed elsewhere isn't necessarily for me to physically move there. So me wanting to get licensed in Michigan and Illinois, that's not to say that I want to jump firms. I love my firm. I really like where I'm at. But what it does do, it helps make me more marketable. It allows me to take on newer clients, more clients, right? The more places I'm allowed to practice, the more I'm able to do. Beyond that, in terms of the bigger picture, I mean, I would be lying if I'm saying I'm going to stay, and anybody would be lying to I want to stay here the rest of my life, because at the end of the day, you don't know how life works out. You really don't. Maybe, for instance, you meet someone you love in another country, another state. Now you got a person that you got to work with, or maybe you get fired one day. You could get fired. Maybe you're not doing well. Maybe something happens in your personal life that starts affecting your work life, and then that crumbles. At the end of the day, the only thing I can say is this, Dre. My goal is to do the best I can at my job right now. In terms of where I want to be in the future, I want to be as successful as I possibly can. And I want to just maybe one day I'll open my own firm. I would love to be in charge one day in terms of oversight. So if I can one day, be a equity partner at Banks & Brower, that's 100% something I want to do. Mm-hmm. And if that opportunity never presents itself, I mean, you don't know. In 10, 15, 20 years, I'll have a different outlook, perhaps. I don't know. So I tell people, don't look too far in the future, because again, we only have one direction for vision. So like I said, don't look behind you, look in front of you. Don't look too far ahead, right? You don't want to look at the tree that's 300 yards away and miss the giant road spikes that are 10 feet away, right? Right. Have a plan, look into the future, not too far. And, where I end up, I don't know. I really don't know. All I do know is I love my job. I love my career. My plan is to stay here and do the best that I can.
I got you. Okay. So we're coming down to the end of it. Final last question. And I do have a picture of your card. I will attach it to the video for anybody that has any business, personal reasons that they want to contact you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And if anyone that's kind of further wanted to learn and gain some knowledge off your just what you know from experience or any type of way of networking or reaching out for advice, are they able to reach out to you for your information that's on the card? Would you
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you're out there, reach me. The best for me would be email. So gasper.stare@banksbrower.com. So it's my full name with a dot in between at banksbrower.com. Send me an email. Tell me a little bit about yourself, and I'll be happy to help any way I can. I'm not just saying that to sound nice on the video. I'm being genuine. I will read your email, and I'll give you the best advice I can. And maybe I might know somebody in your field that I connect you to.
Okay, cool. I mean, and I chose you for a reason, man. Just for knowing you, just personally, just far as for what you stand for, your work ethic, your discipline, the sacrifice that you take, because as you know, I met you far as for moving over here, and you were the immigrant, and the different challenges and stuff that you faced, and then we almost switched roles, and I went up to Canada. And
we had no idea when we were in those little bunk beds or whatever that we were sleeping on those cots back in Atlanta. You and I had no freaking clue we were going to end up. Not a clue. That is funny. I love it.
And that's what we remember is being there, just the dedication and the hard work and effort, the discipline that we needed and the sacrifice that we made even going there, and what we became like, just stuff that instilled in us that's something that I hope people can see from this video, that the way that they look at me and respect me for who I am and what I do. There's a reason why you're on this call, is because I feel that same type of way about you as far as for what you've shown me, so definitely you would be a person that I would be telling somebody, hey, you need to hit up Gasper, or I'm calling Gasper, like you're my lawyer. Hopefully I'll never need you, or
yes,
but you're my guy. I'm calling.
Thank you. Thank you, Dre. I appreciate that. And you too, man. I see you've been active. Congratulations on everything. I think you poached your wife's from Canada, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you poached one from my neck of the woods. But congratulations to you, Dre. You're doing well. I'm proud of you. I love
she was born in Guelph.
So she knows right up the 401. She knows. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. So just closing out, man, this Persistent Progress Goes Career Explorer. I'm here with Gasper Stare, criminal defense attorney. And I just want to thank you for your time. This video is done to help people in networking type of ways, just to influence them, motivate them. And as I said, that we're kind of trying to be a GPS to steer people in the right direction if they're searching and they're lost, So hopefully this video does well for somebody. I believe that it will, whether it's a high school kid looking for a way to go in some direction, or even someone's our age looking for a career path, or in college, any type of way that this could be a positive influence to people. We hopefully that this video was able to do that. And I want to thank you for taking time out to do this interview, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And, I know it's great, more great things coming for you in the future.
Thank you. Thanks, Jay. I appreciate it. Keep pushing, man. Hopefully this inspires somebody out there.
For sure, man. I'll talk to you later, man.
Absolutely. Take care.
All right. Bye.